Hello, everybody. Welcome to the D-pad. I'm Rick, uh, hidden behind the cacnea.ping. Uh, um, welcome to this month's live hangout. Yeah, sorry, that might have jump scared a few people. I literally the thing that took the last like 60 seconds of time before going live was me realizing I put the cacnea over the chat portion of the window and not the actual part that mattered. Uh, so it is much bigger than I realized it was going to be up until literally the last moment before going live. But there might be folks that aren't aware of what's going on here. So let me explain that real quick. During so At the tail end of the 99 turn Mario Party Madness game last week, the camera started to glitch pretty severely. It started out with just occasional little like 1 or 2 frame flickers. It was like, oh, hopefully this won't be too bad, and like maybe it's something I can fix in post or whatever, and all of that. But as the last like half hour of the event went on, the glitches started getting more frequent and more severe to the point where it just became a like strobe effect that slowly crawled up the camera space. So the old webcam, the one that I hated and complained about all the time, is dead. I do have somewhere, put a pin in that for a second. I did buy a particular there. I guess there's like a particular kind of cable that you need to connect to the. So I have a Blackmagic 4K Pocket Cinema camera, I think is the full name of it. And in order to get a proper like live feed of that without all of the like extra oh god without so when you normally look through the on the screen of a camera, you'll have all the extra information, your HUD essentially, and if you just plug that in, it tends to get a little upset, or it has like a delay. So I bought a cable that will let me just use that as a webcam from now on, which is great. But the cable that had been in the same place for months, because I was like, oh, at some point I'll figure out what, the next big stream thing that we get into. Maybe I'll get this set up and then we'll start using that more regularly. The cable was not where I thought it was when I went to grab it earlier this week. So I have been stuck and relegated to using a big image of a cacnea up against a staticky background. The staticky background is because the first stream that this got used for was Persona 4, so I figured it would match the TV theme nicely. I had figured, all right, and I apologize too. I had mentioned to folks like, oh, if this takes too long for me to resolve, then maybe I'll just I'll download like a ping tuber thing and I'll just make the cacnea dance around and stuff, which I have the software for, but I haven't figured it out yet. And like most of my waking moments lately have been all about setting up the upcoming anniversary stream, which is now next week, as well as just tightening up the official reveal thing, which is almost there actually. The fun part about not having the camera on is I can be looking at other stuff and it doesn't look weird in terms of the video, but like I'm looking right now at the kind of base of the like logo, which is like about 60, actually I'd say this is like 80 or so percent done. It's almost there. The trailer itself, I'm probably shortening down from what I was planning to do. I had like a rough idea about what I wanted for it, and some of it was going to come down to like, oh, I'm going to have to just see how it goes when I try to execute on it, and it didn't work quite the way I was expecting. I found something that I liked though very late into, it was either last night or the night before, some inspiration struck, and I kind of landed on something where I was like, ooh, okay, I like this actually works. Trailer editing is kind of an improv process. But yes, the anniversary stream is going to be beginning on Friday, April 25th. However, we're doing things a little bit differently. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for folks to jump in. And if you're not free on Friday, if you're not free, as things are getting started, do not worry. There will absolutely be plenty of time to get in on that. I don't want to, I feel bad because I was really hoping to get this thing done in time for tonight. So you know what though, I'll give you this much, because I was really hoping to have all of this stuff ready at the start of the month. So two big things. One is the premise for this year's anniversary stream involves me actually modding a game. The last time I modded a game was using hex editors to mess with Sonic 1 and 2 about 20 years ago, because the hex editor stuff for Sonic games, even in the pre tile editor era, Soned and stuff like that, was really easy to do. But everybody at the time was changing the names of the zones and stuff, very easy to do, whatever. This is a very different scenario, and I can't give too many more details on that, or else I'll give away the whole game. But it's been an interesting process. I've been coding in languages I haven't touched in decades. The mod does work. I'm still running it through some tests because I want to make sure that some of the edge cases I'm a little worried about don't actually happen. But I believe if I literally, if we had to start it tonight, I would be at a 85 to 90% confidence rate that we could get through the whole thing without any problems. So it's going really well. I had a huge breakthrough with that about a week ago. I was actually getting kind of worried as we were getting into last weekend, because the weekend before I was very stuck, and I spent the entire following week trying to figure out what was going wrong with what I was trying to do. And it was reaching the point where it's okay, I'm either going to need to tag Sarah in to help me out with this, because it's in languages that she at least understands a little better than I do, or I was going to have to reach out to some of the modders involved with Mario Party Madness and beg somebody to help / pay them to essentially commission them to help bring this over the finish line. But from what I can tell so far, things are looking really, really good. The mod is going very well. And the other important piece of information for this is that this year's anniversary stream is going to be longer than 24 hours. Usually for the anniversary and Extra Life Marathon streams, they're 24 hours long. This one, or they're 24 plus 1 hour for every $1,000 we raise when we do the charity streams. That is not the case for this one. It is going to be longer than 24 hours. Basically, anytime if you show up anytime during the weekend, you are almost certainly going to see me there waving at you. So I just wanted to give folks that, so they at least have a vague idea of what even a little bit to expect in terms of scope or what's involved. I feel double bad too, because it's this is an idea that no, we're not. You will see me there. I will have a camera situation figured out. Sarah has spare webcams that I will grab if it gets really dire before then, but we will get that figured out. I'm not going to be awake the entire time. It's going to depend on one, if we have other folks here. There's a chance that I might be kind of doing this solo / Sarah may be there for a good chunk of it, depending on how much of the weekend she wants to give up to it. We're in a little bit of flux. There were some planning stages early on that have changed kind of dramatically in the lead up to this. And we're just kind of rolling with the punches as best we can. I still think it's going to be a good time, but it's going to be a little bit more interesting. There may very well be portions of time where nobody is currently active on the stream, but that is okay. It will make sense when we get into it. And also I may, coordinate with everybody such that I may have a Discord, chat. What am I even thinking of here? I guess an audio chat room that will be live, such that such that D-pad folks can like drop in remotely and hang out as well. And if there are any folks who are like hanging around like late at night or whatever, or during a lull, or if I am like unconscious somewhere, then they might be able to jump in and just kind of chill with folks for a while there too, if there's anybody hanging out. It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of moving pieces here, and like I said, I feel bad because one, because it's next week and things are still coming together, but especially because I have this is an idea that I've had for a long time, literally years now. I've had this particular idea in mind. I was like, ooh, I wonder. And a few things came into a few pieces kind of fell into place at just the right time for it to be a viable thing to do. And so I've been off and on spending time for like the last couple months trying to put this all together, because I was like, sweet, I'm going to get on it early. I'm going to have this stuff ready so far ahead of time, and then I'll be able to announce stuff and it'll be great. And it was so much harder to do than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be hard. It was much harder. And so it's been a lot more going on than I originally anticipated. I definitely did try to have this all set up early. Which is good. I'm glad that I did. If I tried doing this over the course of just like April, then I'd be in real danger at this point in terms of a whole bunch of different things planning wise. So we've got all sorts of stuff going on with that. So that's as much as I want to talk about the anniversary stream right now, just because I think the actual reveal of what is going on is going to be very interesting. I think it'll really generate like at least a little bit of hype from folks, I hope anyway. Like that's not like if there's folks who don't give a shit about it, that's totally fine too. It's a thing that I've been excited about. And it's going to be very experimental. And this is not how anniversary streams are just going to go from now on. Like, anytime the anniversary streams come around, we're all kind of open to figuring out what we want to do for it. Though at the same time, if this winds up being like a ridiculously popular thing that we do for one reason or another, then maybe it is, that maybe that influences how we do anniversary streams. I don't know. But we could just as easily be going back to marathoning 100% of a game, or doing like a variety show style scenario where you bounce between different stuff every couple hours. Lots of different options. But yeah, so I still want the actual trailer to pop if I can, or if I can make it pop, I guess. But I'm excited. There's a few things that'll happen alongside that, which will be fun. If I like this logo enough, I might throw it on a shirt. We'll see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to get into with that before we move on from there. I figured that was probably like the most important thing that I really wanted to get into tonight anyway. So I'm glad that we got into that first. I want to make sure that was kind of right up at the top, so that if anybody's watching the VOD later, they also get that info nice and quick. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I'm also terrified a little bit. I won't lie. There's been a few moments over the last week or two where I'm just like, is this like the stupidest idea ever? Is this bad, actually? But I think that's just me being gun shy and just having that little burst of unconfidence that, like, I don't know. I get stage fright pretty often, and this kind of feels like that to a certain extent, where I'm just like, ooh boy, I'm about to just throw something out there with like really no idea if people are going to be into it or not. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. There are still plans in mind for like other, we got Extra Life coming later this year. I guess I may as well. I got reached out to again. I actually need to email them back just so that I'm not just ghosting them. But I got reached out to by the folks at Stack Up um, over the end of the winter into the start of the spring. And like I'm certainly not opposed to Stack Up in general. They are great people. They're doing great stuff. In no way are any of my thoughts here like on them specifically. But I won't lie. It feels a little bit like doing stuff that is. It already felt a little bit like uh, uh tricky of a tightrope walk in some ways, doing stuff that was like tangential to like the U.S. military, and like nothing that we did during our two Stack Up charity streams we're like, oh, we're giving, it was, I don't know, it made it like it was already kind of like a thing that felt very like, trying to help people, especially veterans and stuff who need mental health support, and being able to help them, kind of reacclimate and stuff like that. Like, I think that's really important and very valuable. But like, it hit it very well. I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that it wasn't super obvious, because like I definitely had like in the back of my head, I was like, I hope one, it is for a good cause, and I don't want people to, if I start getting like wavery on it, I don't want to like shake other people's confidence on it, because maybe it's just a me thing. And like two was, I hope that I'm not like upsetting people by doing it, because like, I have my own misgivings with some of the things going on with our military. I don't think that's going to be a real shocker to anybody. I hope it's not a real shocker to anybody, at least. And so like being that proximal to it, I guess, just makes me anxious in a couple different ways and flavors. So I don't know. I have to email them back just in general, because they're kind of like gearing up for their next set of stuff. I don't know if things soon. I would have to imagine that at some point there will be another Stack Up thing that we do. I don't want to be like, we're never going back or anything like that. That's silly, but I don't know. There's a lot of trickiness with the politicking of the U.S. and its military, and the U.S. and the world and stuff. Oh, something happened? Oh, I'm sorry. There's a good chance my MacBook just went into night mode. It automatically drops to like night mode after it gets to a certain time, and it uses up a whole bunch of resources all at once, and it probably jittered the fuck out of the audio. Yeah, sorry about that. Oh no, did it do the beep thing? I'm so sorry. Yeah, that was pretty bad. I should really just set the MacBook to night mode only or something, so it doesn't do that. It uses up so much of the resources all at once, so I'm not surprised that it like freaked out Logic Pro and did that. Sorry about that. Super sorry. It's always such a loud beep too. That's not good. Good morning, anybody that passed out during my rambles. But yeah, no, the TLDR version is Stack Up are good people. I feel a little anxious about doing stuff that is related even like 1% to like the military right now. So like I'm just kind of personally feeling a little iffy on it. And that's not Stack Up's fault. That's not anybody who's involved's fault, anything like that. It's just kind of where my own like personal, anxieties and misgivings and things are more than anything. So I'll probably, I will probably try and just get over myself to be able to, help people out and do the good thing. But I just like, it's something that's been on my mind, and like, I don't know. I also wanted, and like I said, I also wanted to make sure that like, other people weren't feeling like not good about us doing it before, for related reasons or anything like that. So, but yeah, I don't know, like to put the kind of punctuation on it, I felt better about it in 2023 than I do in 2025, and again, not Stack Up's fault, not any of the organization's fault. Nobody involved in the actual charity stuff is at all to blame for my mood on any of that. So if anything, I feel kind of cruddy about having so many hesitations about it, but I just wanted to throw that out there. There is a plan It's a little less formulated than this was. This one was very clearly formulated from a ways out in terms of like what I ultimately wanted. This is one where literally last year when we were coming up with the idea for Re 13, the 13th anniversary special, or 13th anniversary marathon stream rather, I basically, while we were coming up with that was telling folks like, okay, figure out what you guys want to do for your games, because next year I'm claiming that one early because I knew exactly what we were going to be doing for this year. Same thing for Extra Life. This year I have that already locked in and decided, but the exact format of that is a little up in the air still. I'm still kind of figuring out a little bit of the details for that, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till we're done with this before worrying too much about that, and hopefully I'll have that kind of locked in sometime in the summer. Because I think it's usually the like first weekend of November, somewhere around there for Extra Life. But yeah, may as well walk down. I guess we'll just walk down the schedule on the top since we kind of started with it. So yeah, the second weekend of May, so two weekends after the anniversary stream, is PAX East, 2025, where I've had a bout of surprisingly good luck lately, because I was honestly I had kind of written off PAX East for this year for the most part, which bummed me out because like there's a bunch of Mario Party folks that are going and it's my first opportunity to actually meet some of them in person. But I, money's been tight, been trying to figure out full-time work, which has been really frustrating to deal with. I'm fortunate enough to have a freelancing gig, which has been floating me pretty well for the last about 6-7 months, something like that. However, it sounds like that's winding down pretty soon, at least temporarily. And like, yeah, so I kind of looked at it and I was like, I might have to pass on PAX East. And then I got an email about a week ago. There was a PAX East weekend pass sweepstakes thing that I'd entered into on a lark, and I guess I won it. It is straight up the first sweepstakes thing I've ever won in my entire life. I was already on the PAX Discord, so I went and I checked with some folks over on that end, and the person who was kind of roughly in charge of like that area of like Reed Pop related stuff was like, okay, yeah, if you're getting it from this email, then that should be legit. So I was like, all right, cool. So yeah, I won a weekend pass. So I am figuring out lodging. I might be crashing with some friends who are in Boston. And so cool. I guess that's happening. And then on top of that, I don't want to get into specifics because it is not my thing to go ahead and shout out there. But so I'd mentioned before that I think I'd mentioned before that U-Game sadly did not get accepted for this year for PAX East. I'm going to keep trying with it. I'm going to keep putting it in there because it was fun the first time. And man, am I sad that we did not wind up actually getting audio or video for that. That one bummed me out. The video one is my fault just because I was a mess organizing that stuff. And I was thoroughly unprepared for things, and when it came time to start, the camera was not ready, and I was just like, screw it, we'll just do audio, then it's fine. And then the audio that PAX was supposed to be recording, they also didn't record, because I think it was like that specific room doesn't normally do it, and we didn't realize that because of the way that like a different email had been worded, that kind of thing. So it was like, yeah, I'm kind of thinking of it as like a level 0. Things like Toe Jam Arrow level 0 or the beta test or whatever. So, but yeah, the next iteration, like honestly, I don't know if anybody, I mean, other than Evil Hippie and Carnium, who were part of the actual event, I don't know if anybody here was physically present for it, but it ran really smoothly, all things considered. Huge ups to Evil Hippie in particular for Jeff and I had deputized him as being like, hey, you keep your eye on the time as you're doing like the slides, and like flag us down if we're like not keeping pace, which he did a bunch because we were kind of yapping, and I think we also just didn't really understand how much time was truly going to pass through some of the questions and categories and stuff. But yeah, we definitely cut out a bunch of stuff that we had planned just because it was, just time. That's how it works. But we were right on schedule, literally, for finishing it off. Whole bunch of people came up and were chatting with us afterwards, and we're grabbing pins and things. And word on the street from the enforcers, like that were either present or were related to the actual like live portion of that, was like, yeah, we were great. We cleaned up after ourselves, which was great. And everybody was really positive about it. So like there's very little about that I would have changed for a proper like, hey, here is us like hitting the ground running. I think like sound test and like have it like me setting up the camera ahead of time would be like maybe the two biggest things, and then after that everything else is just fluff in terms of like just tightening stuff up. So the next one we have is gonna be great. Like I said, I'm gonna keep submitting it. The funny thing about Mario Party Madness is it's been an opportunity to collaborate and cross paths with some pretty huge creators. And the funniest one is one of the people involved in the 99 turn game was Proton John, who I believe is one of the hosts for Throne Controllers, which is the much longer running quiz show, game show that has been making the rounds with like PAX and MagFest and a couple others. So we might have gotten lucky the one year we got in. Like it's totally possible that we only managed to get in because it was a year that they weren't there. I forget if there were any particulars as to why, but it might be an uphill battle getting back in there again. I'm not holding it against anybody if we don't, but like, but yeah. So we're gonna keep submitting. We're gonna keep trying to get in there. Hopefully we'll be able to do it and then be able to announce it and like let folks know to jump in on it. We need to have done it once before doing it live the first. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Yes, doing a proper full run through probably would have been a good way for us to catch the timing issues that we're having on that. Totally. Hello, welcome. But yeah, so the reason I bring all that up is because there is actually a panel that I am that I like. There's a group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. There's one person who is setting one up. That's the wrong date on there. Whoops. So short version, I'll jump right to it. It does appear that a panel that I'm on with 4 other people is going to be happening Saturday, not Friday. The date that is on there right now is incorrect. In fact, I'm going to fix it right now. But the where's my Photoshop? There it is. Let me fix this real quick just before I forget. But yeah, Saturday night, it does appear that we are going to have a panel. I'm not going to give any specifics about it. I want to let the person who is properly hosting it do the announcement first, and then I will follow up with screaming about it from the heavens. But Saturday night of PAX East, there's going to be a panel that I'm going to be a part of, and I think sadly it might be during the same time there are shows. In fact, that actually might literally be the exact same time slot that we had for U Game 2 years ago. It is very, very possible that is literally the same time slot. So we'll see how it goes when things are all like fully ironed out. Then I'll let folks know. It's just funny because if you get accepted as a panelist, or if you're on a panel or whatever for PAX East, you are given essentially a I forget if it's an I don't think it's an exhibitor badge, but like it might just I think that there was a specific name that was given to the badge that you got for it, but essentially it was a weekend pass. You got a full weekend pass if you're on one of the panels. So I might see if I can like get if I can either give or sell or whatever the other pass, then I want to do that just because I don't need 2 weekend passes. So I'm gonna see how that's all going. I don't the one that I got for the sweepstakes, I know for a fact is one that I'm only gonna be able to pick up there, and I don't know. I assume that one's a regular weekend pass. The one for the panel might be a different one that I wouldn't be able to get rid of, but the contest one I might be able to get rid of. I assume and I also don't know if I even am able to sell those. I don't know that I would default to selling. I'd probably default to just like giving it to a friend or something. But I always get a little leery about like I say this like I've done this a bunch of times. The thought process I get leery about, like, oh, if you win something, are you allowed to sell that, or would that get you in trouble, kind of thing. But like I think I'm overthinking that. But yeah, so I'm gonna be at PAX this year unexpectedly, with less than a month to go. Suddenly I'm going to PAX, so that's gonna be fun. So there's that. Walking down the rest of the stuff here. Friday, May 16th, we're getting back into Digimon. We took this month off because things were so. I'm glad that I did. Honestly, if it weren't for the fact that we actually have had an unbroken streak, I actually want to check really fast. When is the last time that we missed a Patreon hangout? I'm trying to remember if we had missed one kind of recently, and I remember, and I was bummed about the fact that it had happened. I can find this pretty quick, though, I think. Let's see. Let's see. We got those. Oh, did we not have one for October? Oh no, that would have been the start of that one would have been the start of Extra Life. Because we usually tend to kind of mush those together. Let's see. Scrolling back. It looks like, and then the same thing last year. The March ones tend to do the same thing for the anniversary streams. So I was gonna say, like, I'm pretty sure that we haven't missed one in a really long time. Assuming the March and October ones that are not present are ones that we had done as like the opening to a marathon stream kind of thing. It might have been pre-pandemic, actually. Holy shit. Sorry for oh, okay, it looks like we might have missed January 2021. That looks like that's probably the first one that we have properly missed. I'm trying to remember. Or was that one that we... I'm trying to remember now if there was one that we did that... I remember that there was a point in time where we were having weird connection issues, and I thought that I had to move it over to... oh no, yeah, January 2021 is on YouTube. We had to move it at one point, so it's still further back than that. Apologies for this huge distracting sidebar thing, because now I'm just like, all right, now we need to know. We're into 2019. Oh yeah, there we go. 2019. January 2019 is the first. We had been doing them like quasi regularly. We had missed a lot, and then January 2019, I was like, okay, we're gonna try to like actually be good about doing this every single month. So yeah, we have not missed a single one of these then for a little over 6 years now. Jesus Christ. So this is our 76th consecutive Patreon hangout that we have correctly gotten. like month by month. It hasn't always been in the month if something has come up and we've had to move it a week back, or if just we had to pre-plan it a week ahead or whatever. But yeah, I think especially if it weren't for keeping that going, then I might have considered, moving this to the first weekend of May or something, or the first Friday of May, just to leave more space for like getting stuff done. But yeah, no, the Digimon stuff we finished off. I believe we finished. Yeah, we finished off the Myotismon arc, which means we're getting into Dark Masters for Digimon Adventure Season 1. And I think we're going to be doing that in 2 sessions. I believe that's going to be 2 sessions and we'll be done. I don't think there's enough meat there for 3. I think we have like 15 more episodes left in the season, I think, something like that. So we'll probably do like a 7 and an 8 or something like that, or maybe a 6 and a 9, depending on how the things break up. But yeah, we'll have one in the middle of May, and we'll have another one in the middle of June. It'll be a grand old time. Not included on here, I realize. Hello, Fido. Hello. Not included on that schedule up there is I'm actually going to be joining. Oh boy, I'm actually going to be joining 2 podcasts in May. One of them, I don't know if it's been posted anywhere, so I don't want to preempt it. But one of them is going to be on the 14th, which is Wednesday the 14th of May. Another one doesn't have a date yet, but it seems like it's going to be kind of mid to late May. So hopefully it won't crash into any of this. It's not going to happen until after PAX for sure. But there should be a thing going on there later on in May. Those are not in there right now, just because I don't want to preempt somebody else's announcements, and I don't even have a date for one of them. So those will be talked about when they get closer. I could swear. Oh, there's also, oh my God, there's so many things going on. Obviously the Switch 2 launch is coming at the start of June. Late June, not on here, like right near the end of June, there's a possibility. I don't know how likely it is, but there is a possibility that I'm actually going to be joining a panel at Too Many Games. I don't want to get too much into it right now because it's looking less likely than likely, but it is something that may happen. So if you're anywhere near, which area is that? Is that the Philly area? I believe that's, yeah. Oaks, Pennsylvania is where Too Many Games is happening. Right at the end of June. We will have at least one more hangout before then anyway. The previous plan was that we would be doing the current plan is that we'd be doing our June Patreon hangout on the 27th. If that winds up happening, though, we will have to move it one way or the other. So either to Friday the 20th or Friday the 4th of July. Nope. Just realized that in the middle of saying it out loud. So why don't we say that the backup, if that does happen, is going to be June 20th? Oh shit! Actually, oh my God. Yes. Okay. Yes, June 20th should still be fine. I was about to say that in July, Sarah and I are going on vacation, and it's floated between June and July a couple times, and I was like, wait a minute, is it actually in June? Am I screwing myself here? So. Let me bring my brain back for a second. Not on the calendar up at the top. May 14th podcast appearance. Late May, early June, another podcast appearance. And also the possibility, seems like it's around like 35-ish% right now, that somewhere in the last weekend of June, so 27th to 29th, I might be joining a panel in Pennsylvania for Too Many Games. Maybe. A lot of maybe on those. There's also another maybe for another thing, but that one is so far out of my hands that I'm not going to bring it up unless I hear something otherwise. But a lot of stuff going on. Our next Patreon hangout will be May 30th. And we will have a community. I feel like I got to rename that thing. Community Night. I can say it fine if I make sure to enunciate carefully, but if I just start rolling casually through it, Community Night, Community Night, Community Night. Like it's a lot of tongue tapping. I don't remember the word for that one off the top of my head. I don't know if that seems like the kind of thing that Peter would know really well. I don't know if he's still in here right now. The fun thing about descriptors of mouth and tongue movements and sounds is that most of them feature the specific sound produced by that. Yeah, not quite alliteration. Alliteration would be like Bobby brought bricks back to buy bread. But so like fricative, a fricative is the f sound, the F and the V. The other one's plosive is usually B and P. Is sibilant the one that's S? Sibilant might be S. I used to know most of these. I think nasal does get used for N. Oh my god, I'm trying to remember if was it alveolar or something. I don't know. I think that one's got more to do with like the placement of the tongue. Regardless, how the fuck did I get off on this tangent? Holy shit! Oh yeah, because community night. I'll have to think of a thing for it. Fricative is anything that partly obstructs the airflow but doesn't stop it. Okay. So that would also include th and the then. Yeah, your f, v, th, the. The only real difference there is teeth to lip, teeth to tongue. Sibilant isn't a category. Okay. That one I was feeling less certain on for that. Assonance, I think maybe. I'm trying to remember what assonance actually is. Yeah, that might be right. Either way, though, that's going to be, I'm going to be putting up polls for that this weekend. Oh, s, sh, and j are also fricatives. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. And yeah, there's usually like another adjective that's given that refers to, I think it's, I want to say it's tongue placement in the mouth that produces those. Oh, rhotic or rhotic. I think it's rhotic. Has to do with like R's, especially rolled R's, I believe. The fricative Let's Play, yeah. Or affricates, but affricates are just a stop and a fricative together. Stop and a a stop and a fricative together. That's interesting. How would that work? Like you're talking like a ch is just ch. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's glottal. Glottal is another one. Repetition of identical or similar phonemes in words or syllables that occur close together, either in terms of their vowel phonemes, lean green meat, or their consonants phonemes, kip keep scapes. Okay. All right. Interesting. So alliteration would be a type of assonance then. Huh. Or maybe it's like a partial assonance. I guess it would depend if just the first beginning of it is still enough to count. Bunch of palatal consonants and palatal. There we go. That's a good one. But yeah, community night is your tongue just kind of flapping against the front of your mouth a whole bunch. But anywho, yeah, we'll have stuff for there. My original plan coming into this week was just doing a Val Kilmer double feature, and just because things are busy and it'd be something to do that would take not a lot of huge setup for it, but I am super burned out. I have been up super late most nights all month, mostly to get the anniversary stream situated. So I'm just kind of fried right now, and I don't think that I would be very good at keeping a rolling commentary going through 3-4 hours of movie at the moment. So a bunch of Val Kilmer movies will be in the running for the next one, though. because man was very, very good at what he did. And one of my very favorite movies of all time features him, so figured why the hell not. What the hell was I gonna say? But yeah, so there'll be a poll up for that this weekend, and that'll be after the next Patreon hangout, which I think we're gonna do that one at 7:00 again. I moved this one just because I was taking care of a bunch of stuff before, and because we didn't have a community night. Oh my god. We didn't have like a specific need to start it that early. I do want to keep experimenting with the 7:00 time if we can. And maybe like this in one more time after that, and then we'll kind of reconvene to see if it's a change that seems good or bad, and we can kind of take it from there. Yeah, pretty much, honestly. And then listed up there, June 13th is the next Digimon night. I'm expecting that to be the end of Digimon Adventure, and then in July we'll get started with Adventure 2. Or Adventure 02, rather. I think we'll save the Digimon movie / OVAs for after we're done with Digimon Adventure 02. Probably makes sense to do that. Or if there is a specific spot where the last chunk of it seems to happen during the season, then then maybe we'll do it in the middle too. But honestly, I'm expecting we'll just do it afterwards. And then we can get into Tamers, which I never actually, I never saw anything after the first two Our War Game is Between series. Yeah, but there's the 3 parts, right? There's the one that is essentially the prequel. There's the War Game one, and then there's the one that takes place. I thought it took place during or after season. I keep wanting to call it season 2, but yeah, I figure maybe what we can do is, because the movie itself is not very long. I was about to say I think that's kind of what I want to do is the original and then the redubs, because the redubs restore the bits that were removed from the Japanese versions, or is it still essentially the same movie visually and editing wise? The redubs are uncut. Okay, cool. Yeah, then I'm down for that. Because I was gonna say like maybe we do the originals, we do the American version followed by the Japanese one with like subtitles. But if the redubs are properly redubbed versions of the Japanese ones, then like I think we can just do that. I think it'll be fine. But yeah, then we move to Tamers, and then it's completely new territory for me from then on out. It'll be a good time. Excuse me. I don't know why my throat is like super dry today. I've been drinking a bunch of water too, so I don't really know what's going on, but I think it's just not a lot of sleep, tired, just kind of wearing down. It's also finding the Toon Disney they did their own second. I didn't realize that there was another O2 movie. That's what it is. It dried out my eyes, and then it dried out the rest of my. That's actually one big hole. It's one big hole. I'd like to imagine that everything that is a Pokemon whose face is underneath some kind of cover all looks the same. Like a Cacnea looks the same as a Mimikyu, looks the same as a. I was going to say Ghastly. That's wrong. Like a Shelder. I guess you can kind of see a Shelder just fine. Oh, nice. Very cool, Mr. Gamerbot. Diablomon Strikes Back is post-series. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, Toon Disney, they aired dubs of the second O2 movies, both Tamers movies and the Frontier movie, but they've never been released on home video. Ooh, interesting. And this is separate from a home video dub as well? Or have they just not gotten released at all? Never on home video in English. Ooh. All right, I might have to scour some darker corners of the internet to try to scrape those up if I can. So we'll see. Granted, if they're subtitled and if there are subtitled ones in English that are available, then like we may just have to go with those. But well, we'll see what we can do. Hey, we only have 2 more nights where where we'll have to hear "Hey Digimon, Hey Digimon." We'll have to celebrate by listening to "Hey Digimon, Hey Digimon." Holy cow! I'm trying to think if there was any other like big stuff. They did call the new collection Digimon the Movies Collection 1. Oh, sick. Okay. Oh man, that'd be a great surprise if they were like restoring the old ones there. Yeah. I mean, granted, if Digimon the Movies Collection 1 definitely required production if they were redubbing and like restoring essentially the original Japanese version. So if they had the licenses and budget to do that, I have to imagine that the plan is that a collection 2, they may if they can, but it's not in progress yet. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was gonna say like if they had the ability and the money to do that first to do that, then I have to imagine that the road is open for them for the other ones too. I'd like to think anyway. All right. Well, why don't we get into the more day to day schedule-y stuff. Well, we'll just keep rolling with it. Just rotating because I was kind of facing the wrong direction before. Not that you can tell. It's all good. Where have things been at? We've been kind of getting back on our feet with stuff. I've been a little distracted by getting the anniversary stream stuff going, but I've been trying to keep things moving. I may actually wind up getting a video or 2 up later tonight after we're done with this. We will see. I'm currently neck deep in anniversary stream stuff, but Echoes of Wisdom. We've been doing some more Echoes of Wisdom. I actually have one more video that I was hoping to put up today that we have footage for, and then I believe after that we are out. And I think Sarah and I are going to record some more of this weekend, as the plan anyway. We got a bunch of Soul Silver as well. Oh, before diving into all that, Echoes of Wisdom has been going well so far. I'm curious if I think we're about to. My guess would be that we're about to hit our Act 1 swerve. Zelda games, especially the 2D ones, but a few of the 3D ones as well, have a pretty firm. It's not so much the classic 3-act structure, but you definitely get a sense that the games a lot of the time are well broken into kind of a 1, 2, 3. Like as the example, Ocarina of Time, your Act 1 is Child Link. You do the Deku Tree, you do the Dodongo's Cavern, you do Jabu Jabu's Belly, and then the swerve at the end of that is you get the spiritual stones. Exactly. You're getting the spiritual stones. And, oh, hey, we're going into the Temple of Time. We got the Master Sword. And then swerve, Ganondorf attacks, takes over. And now your Act 2 is a ruined Hyrule. And now you're looking for medallions. The soft transition from Act 2 to Act 3 is once you leave the familiar territories of the Forest Temple, Fire Temple, Water Temple, and start moving into areas that are a little less comfortable and familiar. The bottom of the well and the Shadow Temple showing up in Kakariko Town is a little bit unexpected. And then the Spirit Temple, well, the Gerudo stuff is very, very new to you and all of that. But same thing with A Link to the Past. I would say the Act 1 is when you're getting the pendants, the 3 pendants at the start of the game. And then you go to rescue Zelda from Aghanim, and then, oh no, you're in the Dark World. And now you're Act 2 and Act 3. Again, pretty well blurred together as one larger, like, it's the larger of the 2 parts of the game by a good chunk, which is why I think of it as like Act 1 versus the rest. But doing the Dark World and getting the other 8 dungeons is, or 7, 8, is kind of the Act 2 and 3 zone there. But yeah, so we've now done 3 dungeons. We have saved, was it Minister Left and General Wright? I think it was General Wright. And then we have And I think we're headed back to the. I believe we're headed back to the castle. No, not to the castle. I gotta actually check from the last episode what the game was suggesting we do. Though I guess we have the guide marker as well. But I suspect that when we follow that, something's gonna happen. My best guess off the top of my head is that there's going to be a like a Shadow Zelda that just fully supplants you or something, because that seems like the direction they might want to go with that. Hell, they could even go so far as having, Shadow King, Shadow Zelda, and Shadow Link all floating around and shit, and now stuff is real bad because now there's corroboration among the shadow beings as to the stuff that's going on. But I don't know. We'll see where that one goes. I'm curious. I assume that we will be gaining the ability to, if we haven't already been able to and we've just missed it, then I'm kind of expecting we can go to Rifts soon. Your disguise is perfect. It is funny how nobody recognizes us at all. Like, I get that like commoners would not necessarily recognize Zelda on sight, but like maybe less Drad, but like the Zora Chief, for example, or the Gerudo Chief, I would think would at least be moderately familiar with who Zelda is or what she looks like. But even aside from that, knowing her name seems like a thing that'd be pretty likely. That's the more surprising one, is like, I think Drad asks at one point what our name is, and we respond saying Zelda, and there's like, huh, Zelda. That's a pretty nice name, and just walking away. It's like you don't know the name of the crown princess of the kingdom. All right, the king's only child. But all right. But yeah, no, it's been pretty solid so far. I'm curious what happens as we move north, because I feel like we've been doing a lot of stuff in the south. Tons of stuff in the south, a little bit in the center. I know that there's now 2 mountains, because there's Death Mountain, but then there's that other blocky mountain, a little fucking Mount Minecraft or whatever. The Zora, Gerudo, and Etc. don't actually count as the... I mean, I suppose that's possible, but it still seems strange. It still seems, odd that nobody, that literally not a single person recognizes you. But I don't know. It's also a silly little game. It's not one to. It doesn't take itself very seriously, so it's not a huge need to like take it over seriously either. If you know your Breath of the Wild map, you might guess what the other mountain could be called. I'm trying to remember which side it was on. Oh, that's probably oh my god. Nope, I was about to say Mount Lanera. That's wrong, and I was going to say Mount Krenel, and that's also very wrong. It's the Rito area. I'm trying to remember what the hell the actual name of it up there was. Yep, nope, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm also mentally fried right now. So, the Kingdom of Hyrule is what there was. What was there during Link to the Past Between Worlds? I guess that's fair. I'm curious. It's very interesting, and like, there's not a huge reason that they would have to, but like the scope of Hyrule, Krenel is Minish Cap. Yes, there is something named after Krenel in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, but I don't remember what. I think it's like a pond or something in those ones. But yeah, Mount Krenel is Minish Cap. That is true. But yeah, like the changing. There's something named after. That's true. Yes, they had a lot of places to name, so they dug deep, which was pretty cool. But the scope of Hyrule has changed a lot over time, which I find fascinating. Because like in Ocarina, it seemed. I guess not, because like the Gerudo are moderately implied to be a separate nation. Because that carries over into Wind Waker, which would also then imply that like Zora's Domain, the Kokiri Forest, and Death Mountain are also not necessarily part of Hyrule. Which is weird, because you think, I guess it's the land of Hyrule versus the kingdom of Hyrule, right? It's also so funny because like in game, especially nowadays in a post open world gaming experience that you can have. Like Hyrule and Ocarina is tiny, so tiny by comparison. I mean, like not just to open world games, but even just other Zelda games. Like I want to say someone figured out that the entirety of Ocarina can fit within Hyrule Field and Twilight Princess, I think. I do wish there was manga adaptations of recent Zelda games. Real missed that. Yeah, the Zelda mangas have all been kind of interesting. I honestly, I actually do. I have it behind me right now. Just kind of peeking at the shelf behind me. I might not have it down here. Somewhere I have the Mario, the Super Mario and Link to the Past mangas. If you can call them mangas, I don't know if they quite qualify, but the manga / comics that were released as along with Nintendo Power back in the day. They did separate releases of those later on, which was very nice. But I do appreciate that. What the I think there was a manga, and they've even got a few that aren't necessarily directly tied to any of the games, which is cool. Like there's a manga that is all about a hero of Hyrule, essentially the hero of Hyrule who helped protect the goddess Hylia before Skyloft was lifted up into the air. So as far as we know, the earliest iteration of the hero is a character from a manga that has not been. I don't think that hero has even been mentioned in any of the games directly. Yeah, that one I think was only like literally it might be like 2 or 4 pages. It was not. There was not much. It was literally I think just there to essentially reinforce the idea that the spirit of the hero has been there all along. Was that in Hyrule Historia? Okay, cool. And yeah, they're like I think the idea was just to sort of like keep that going, just so that like because I think Demise was already a thing at the time, but Four Swords Adventure along with the Oracle games, nice. I don't know if I've seen any of those. I'm sure that I've probably seen a little bit of the Four Swords ones because I know that they gave each of the links a distinct personality. I may or may not agree with Skyward Sword's canon. Skyward Sword talks about a previous hero, but kind of implies that it's you after traveling back in time. Yes. Yeah, I think the hero that gets mentioned in that game, I believe, is intended to be you. But even that is... I'm trying to remember if that is still further ahead in the timeline, though. I don't remember, because I think even... Because when you go back in time to fight Demise, but I want to say that the spiral is still there, right? Which means Skyloft is still already up in the air at that point. So, like, I mean, and granted, too, like, that happens with I don't think there is a single Zelda manga that's happened. Yeah, the hero chosen by the goddess, yeah. I forget if they've used that title other times too, but yeah, I don't think that there's a single Zelda manga that doesn't have at least one thing that is like kind of anti-canon. And like I not to say non-canon because like a whole bunch of shit is non-canon, right? Like Rome from the Link to the Past one is non-canon. He's not a character that exists in the actual game, but he also isn't necessarily anti-canon in the sense that like him being there doesn't like fuck with other canon that like as the games get into, you know. But yeah, he has kind of it. I'm trying to remember. Okay, yeah, no, it is a full red cape, right? I was gonna say, is it red cape or red scarf? But I'm mixing that up with Hyrule Warriors Link with the blue scarf, or I don't know if that's called something. I know that there's like the muffler or whatever, but like that kind of long silk style or cloth style, thing there. But it's a nice accent. Also, oh, that's right. I forgot we're getting another Hyrule Warriors game. It's so funny where we've gotten now 3. If you assume that if you consider Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition like the cluster of Hyrule Warriors Legends, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition as a single entity, then we're getting a third, right? Hyrule Warriors game. I guess we're getting a third fully distinct one. But I find it fun that each time the game gets more and more canon, because the original Hyrule Warriors is like about as close to 0% canon as you can get. You could make an argument that it is a separate timeline or a separate dimension that does like work with the way that stuff functionally happens with Hyrule, but like it's all the way that I've kind of referred to this in the past is like one directional canon or inward canon. A similar version would be if you watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., a lot of times there would be essentially stuff that was going on in the MCU would be canon to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but with extremely little exception, nothing that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did was canon to the rest of the MCU. There were like 3 things that mattered, and they really stopped caring after like phase 2. But so with Hyrule Warriors, you could make the argument that it is sort of kind of canon if it takes place in another dimension and these characters being pulled across time and space and all of that stuff. There are some weird things based off of when the characters get taken from that make it not necessarily work. But you get like, it's wobbly. But then, yeah, you had Age of Calamity that they were saying at first was like fully canon. But like by playing the game, you kind of find that like you're kind of very much doing a what if scenario with Age of Calamity. But it's at least closer. It's at least something that is like branching off of it's at least branching off of the established timeline in a way that's like, all right, here's a what if scenario. This one seems to be firmly planting itself in the canon, at least right now. It seems to be going, yep, it's the period of time where Zelda was in the past. This all happened. It's like, all right, cool. And it's the Imprisoning War, which is like, all right, that's neat. The Imprisoning War is so funny to me too, because like up until Tears of the Kingdom, the Imprisoning War meant something pretty specific in Zelda. Because it used to refer to the war. Oh God, what was it? Because I'm trying to remember now, and now I'm going to misremember it. Because there's a war that takes place before Ocarina of Time, but I want to say the Imprisoning War is Ocarina of Time, sort of. Because I want to say it's the backstory to A Link to the Past that ultimately gets mushed around to be Ocarina of Time. Yeah, how Ganon got sealed in the Dark World. Yeah, exactly. Because like A Link to the Past, you had your 7 sages or 6 sages, 7 sages that sealed Ganon away in the Dark World, and then from the Dark World he creates Aghanim to do all this stuff. And yeah, Ocarina of Time is more or less the Imprisoning War based off of that. Though there is also a war that takes place, a few years prior to Ocarina of Time, which is what Link's mother is escaping from and all of that. But language between the games has been clear to make that connection more apparent back in the day. Yeah. Yes. Oh, that's right. Wise men. That's right. They didn't call them sages at the time. I'm trying to remember the Game Boy Advance version may have updated a bit of the text to say sages instead of wise men, but I don't remember for certain. I'm not 100% on that one. I don't recall. Pull this thing up just before I forget about it. Oh my God, it's taking forever to load. Oh, you can do it. I believe in you. Okay. I missed the message before. Speaking of Breath of the Wild, man, I really hope we get to see something akin to the original concept of having aliens invade Hyrule. Yeah, the uh, they've wanted to do aliens so often in the Zelda games. It's honestly funny how much they keep skirting around it and never quite like landing it. Because the original concept for Zelda 1, at the very least, was that the Triforce pieces were going to turn out to be computer chips, and it was going to have a futuristic segment that was going on in there. And I thought that there was a mention of aliens being involved at some point. Obviously, there's aliens in Majora's Mask, though the events of that game, the more that I've read about it, the more I'm trying to like get my head around it a little bit, because it seems like the idea, because before it was like, oh, you're just in another dimension, which is Termina, but it seems like the idea is that the power of Majora's Mask itself, like, essentially created all of the world that you're in, essentially. Like, Termina didn't exist essentially until the Skull Kid stole the mask, and it sort of invented all of that or something. Like, they're a little bit abstract. Yeah, the Termina was created specifically for this scenario and stopped existing after. Yeah, which honestly, it doesn't make a ton of sense. However, they could make it make sense if the idea, I mean, it would take a bit of retconning, but essentially do pull a WandaVision. You could lean in on the fact that there's so many of the same character that it's like, well, hey, what if the idea is that Majora is this reality warp, like the Majora's Mask powers warp reality so much that the denizens of Hyrule are all just pulled into this weird like stage play of sorts. And like that's the reason everything looks so familiar-ish, and it's the reason for, like, there's parts where it doesn't work. The Gorman brothers having 3 Ingos doesn't make sense. Having an adult and child Malin doesn't make sense. But like, it's close, you know? Like, it's almost enough to fit. We're at the time on Link to the Past in Prison, where it's supposed to be the one where Link fails and they do it themselves. Oh, geez. Okay. So the demise timeline that leads, which granted, to be fair, leads to A Link to the Past and to, oh yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, hang on a second. Because yeah, the 3-way split, the demise timeline, it would have to, yeah, because the one where Link survives becomes Wind Waker. Well, Link survives and then gets sent back to the past is Wind Waker. Interesting. Oh, yeah, sorry, SD here. Yes, my webcam broke last week, and I'm in the midst of getting it fixed. I'm in the midst of replacing it, but I haven't had time to get that sorted out, so the Cacnea is our replacement me for a little bit. I will have it sorted out before the anniversary stream. Skull Kid has a past in Terminal like the carved picture. My understanding was that Tattle and Tail were real before Termina existed, and that the 3 of them were friends. And it sounded like when Majora's Mask, my understanding was Tattle and Tail are fairies in deep in the Lost Woods. Skull Kid runs into them, becomes their friend. Oh wait, no, that's not right, because they find him after. Yeah, I don't know. Because they find him when he's alone after the giants have abandoned him, which I was about to chalk up to, well, the Majora's Mask could just as easily have generated a past that, like, jives with everything else, too. So that's kind of confusing. But even still, there was the implication that the Skull Kid that likes masks in Ocarina is the same Skull Kid as the one from Majora's Mask, which then means that the giants would have to exist. The giants and the moon and all of that stuff would have to exist in a way that makes sense with Hyrule if we're not going to go, oh yeah, this one Skull Kid and this one Skull Kid is able to just dimension hop because recreations of friends the Skull Kid had in the past. That makes more sense. Yeah, that he had friends, they left him, Tattle and Tail find him, they become like mischievous. They go steal Majora's Mask, and then Majora's Mask creates new giants essentially, along with all the rest of it. It's wobbly. The way I don't know if anybody watches Flaw Peacock. He does a lot of like game explanations and a lot of those things and theorizations and things, and he uses the word floppy to describe when he feels like he's going a little too like he's worried that he might be going too far into like headcanon or trying to explain something that's not actually there kind of thing. But it does like and I'm like it the power of Majora's Mask to recreate everything is like right on the verge of that. But I think that does fit though. I think that would fit if that's the case. Because, yeah. And it's interesting how that story becomes like legend in Termina, I guess, because of the power of the mask. Because it's important to Skull Kid, it becomes important to the people, which is why Granny has the story about it. There's a lot of interesting stuff there, but I don't know. There's some interesting stuff. I'd be curious to see, it'd be very interesting to see. I'd be curious how aliens would properly work in like a real Zelda setting. Just because I don't think outside of Majora's Mask, where anything that happens there is questionable as to whether it normally exists or not anyway, I'm trying to think if there's ever been proper mention of anything not just extraterrestrial, but like even just acknowledging the stars, I guess the zone I suppose have the possibility of that. Depending on how, they could have sort of a the equivalent of the Ancients in Sonic, which, to be fair, the Sonic series, I guess that's not true. The Sonic series has done alien stuff a couple times, but Sonic Frontiers went and threw a pretty huge curveball into the mix by being like, oh yeah, the Chao and Chaos are descended from aliens, and also the Chaos Emeralds don't even come from this planet in the first place. It's very interesting that the Master Emerald does, though. That actually adds a lot more. Density to the lore there than I think that they might have necessarily realized. Because now there's the implication that planets are just growing these weird cosmic emeralds on their own, and that's just a thing that the planets are doing. Could get into some interesting stuff there. I don't know. I would love to see more acknowledgement of I've had my headcanon for a while, stringing a bunch of stuff together from old Zelda games. Some of it has been like lightly confirmed through Hyrule Historia, though that's always a little bit on the more like, well, it's got more weight than someone on the internet saying it, but it's still, love there to be a long-running franchise that doesn't dip into the ancient alien race that created everything. Well, that's fair. But I've had my theory for a while that the Ocarina of Time, the reason it's the Ocarina of Time and can control time is because it's made of I was about to say shift stone. That's not right. Time shift stone. Same kind of blue mineral sort of color to it. But then there was also the little robots that mine time shift stones in the distant past ? Of Skyward Sword, which that carries a bunch of questions all into itself. But so those little robots noticeably have little headgear that's very similar to the headgear that the Twilight have. The little helmet things. There's a lot of similarities there. And there's mention of the Twilight being cast away because they dabbled in forbidden magic, which I kind of wondered for a while if the forbidden magic might be time magic. There's one other thing too. I think it might have been that like when the robots. I want to say that for the moving time shift stones, when the robots entered or left the time zones, for lack of a better term, that they had like a pixely effect that looked very similar to the pixely effect of the Twilight as well. So like I've had the headcanon going for a while. I've talked about it forever, but like I've had the headcanon for a while that like maybe the Twilight were time mages and all of this stuff is intricately connected and yada yada. I was mentioning on Blue Sky the other day too. I was like, hey, I wonder. There's plenty of storytelling reasons why you wouldn't want to do this, and I totally get it. But it'd be very interesting if any of the Zelda games would give us the return of, even in a greatly reduced fashion, but like what happened to the Ocarina of Time after that? Like it would still exist in all three timelines, I believe, because the timeline where of Wind Waker, Zelda has the Ocarina of Time. She plays it to send you back, and then she keeps it, and then you never see it again. In the child timeline that leads to Twilight Princess and Majora's Mask and then Twilight Princess, you get sent back. They really gloss over the fact that Zelda sends you back before you normally are. Like, she sends you back a little before the 7-year loop begins. So young Zelda still has the Ocarina of Time, and she gives it to Link when he goes to Termina. So at the end of that, he's still got it. And also, we've seen his corpse. We've seen the Hero of Time's corpse in Twilight Princess as the hero's shade. So question mark as to where the Ocarina of Time had gone. Yeah, this song reminds me of us. Here's a song that a future version of me played for you once. Yeah, the more logical source of the third timeline would absolutely be, oops, Zelda sent you back a little bit too far. Like, you got sent back, like, literally maybe even just a day earlier, depending on how fast you do Dungeons 2 and 3. But that would absolutely be a branching point there for sure. And it's pretty firmly established with that too, because Twilight Princess establishes that you go see Zelda. I actually really like Twilight Princess did, in my opinion, a really good job of managing the plot that Ocarina and Majora left for it, because the hero's shade is the Hero of Time. And he's at least a tiny. He seems to be at least a little bit bitter about the fact that nobody remembers anything that he did as a hero, which is totally true, because he went and he saved Hyrule, but then got sent back in time to basically the only thing that he did in that timeline was he saved the Kokiri Forest, but the Deku Tree is dead. And then in Majora's Mask, he saved an entire dimension that either doesn't exist or is separate or whatever. So the only people who even might come to Hyrule who know about that are the Skull Kid and the Mask Salesman. So he is essentially this just unknown soldier guy, because he presumably came back to Hyrule and just became a knight and just did that forever. And that was just kind of it. But yeah, Twilight Princess establishes that you show up in the earlier past, you talk with Zelda, you essentially tell her, because she's actively spying on Ganondorf as he meets with the king, and you tell Zelda everything, and she narcs on Ganondorf and is like, hey, he's planning to he's planning to kill you and take over the kingdom. So they execute him. It was interesting to see that, even though Twilight Princess did the one thing they kind of messed up, and they didn't technically necessarily mess it up, but the sages in Twilight Princess just being copies of each other rather than either representatives of different races around Hyrule or something. Like, it wouldn't make sense for them to be Saria, Darunia, Ruto, any of that. But the implication is from Twilight Princess is that during the 7 years between the start child and adult timelines of Ocarina, that there had been a set of sages, but Ganondorf went and killed them all. So I don't know. And then in the Demise timeline, like, Link's dead, but the Ocarina still exists. Could have been destroyed. Or Zelda could have used that to help Agent Imprisonment, the sages will call it Darunia, Ruto, people. But I've heard I have heard a similar but different theory. Someone had a theory that I saw was that we, instead of Darunia, Ruto, and all of those, there's a good chance that these sages are going to be named like Meadow and Ruta, and essentially the names that the divine beasts get in Breath of the Wild, which would at least have a little bit of weight to it in terms of like, okay, that would explain, and they've got the helmets already that match the divine beasts too. So like, if they went down that road, it would be like, okay, that at least that brings it brings it all full circle a little bit, which is kind of nice. Oh, I wonder if in Age of Imprisonment you are going to build the divine beasts. Oh, wait, no, the divine beasts are Sheikah technology, right? So that wouldn't make sense for them to be built by the Zonai, but maybe you build an alternate timeline thing or something. Explicitly says the divine beasts are named after it. Does it? Oh, okay, all right. I could not remember if that was the case, because it was what, Varuta, Vamedo, and I think that was named after Medley, Varudania after Darunia, and who am I missing? I'm missing the Gerudo one. Oh, Vanaboris. So after 3 sages of the Hero of Time era and Medley, since they were like, well, okay, it's the only Rito of note. It's the only Rito sage, so we don't have a lot of choice there. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting if some of those legendary items came back in some way or another, because they should still exist. Very few of those things have been destroyed over the course of the games or whatever. So it'd be interesting, especially with the Master Sword lasting for tens of thousands of years. Like, I don't know. The Master Sword is kind of the the Master Sword is the item, right? It's intended to last essentially forever, because it's as locked into the cycle as the Triforce and the Triforce wielders. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be nice to see the Ocarina of Time come back sometime. Even if the idea is like, well, our hero is not the hero of time and he doesn't really have the innate knowledge or capability to like properly control time, but little things of like, oh, you play that and you can stun stuff, or you can freeze time while you run around for a second, do a little chaos control. Like, they could do some fun stuff with that. But anyway, now that we've spent like half an hour just talking Zelda, yeah, Echoes of Wisdom going well. Gonna record more. Looking forward to getting into it. Looking forward to Age of Imprisonment. We're gonna do our best to keep stuff moving. I forget what Age of Imprisonment's release date is, but I want to keep the Zelda stuff going. Heart Gold and Soul Silver. We are in Chapter 2. We have another week or two's worth of episodes of Soul Silver already in the can. So we got some stuff going on there. Not a lot to report on that front. It's moving along. The heart racing follow the river. It was also a video that I was hoping to put out today, but it might be a Monday thing. I don't know. But yeah, it's been very interesting watching John's strategy for things thus far. Oh, I'm not getting overconfident about any of it. I remain fully neurotic. Oh yeah, no, I know that sturdy is not good in Gen 4. The good news is my Rolling Rock doesn't even have sturdy in the first place. So it was already gonna be an issue for me, even regardless. I mean, if anything, it's probably better that my dude has Rockhead, because it means that I can use stuff that is self damaging without taking damage, which is kind of nice. Um, but yeah, sturdy. Yeah, Rockhead is actually probably the more useful one. Not even probably. It is the more useful one in Gen 4 for sure. Once sturdy becomes you can't be killed in one hit, period, then that's a different story. But yeah, so that's going pretty well there, at least on my side. I do appreciate that I can actually craft my team around John's a little bit now. I knew well before John even hit that first gym that that I was going to lose that first battle. There was really not a chance of that. And that's just because the first face off is almost guaranteed to come down to starter typings. There are ways that it could not do that, but in this one there just wasn't, it just wasn't going to happen. And that's fine. I'm perfectly satisfied with. If anything, I'm a little bit bummed because I feel like I'll do better for this match, which probably means I'm going first. And I'm fairly certain that Whitney is the third gym leader, and that makes me nervous because I know I've heard tale. It's been a long time since I've played Gold and Silver, but I know that Whitney is coming, and I know that she has a mill tank that is going to do some serious damage. Yeah, that's kind of my thought as well. Roland Rock with some fighting moves seems like the best strategy for all of that. So I'll do my best there, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, so that's going pretty well. I'm excited to keep that one moving. John's been around a bit more lately. And as we get into the summer, he'll be around even more than that. So with any luck, we'll be able to move through this one much, much faster. And that'll be good to keep that one moving. Brilliant Diamond. Speaking of Nuzlocks and Padlocks, Brilliant Diamond. We are excuse me, moving through the post game. We've got very little left to go. I am probably either tonight or in the morning going to record some of the Battle Tower stuff. And then we got Elite Four time. I got my dudes all leveled up appropriately. So it's going to be time to hit the Elite Four for the first rematch. Hopefully it goes well. I'm a little anxious, I won't lie, because planning around 4 typed teams and 1 very diverse team is going to be interesting. Stark Mountain is going to be absolutely nothing when you finally do it. Oh, yeah, probably. But it is funny that, like, the expectation, I guess, is that you rematch the Elite Four and then you do Stark Mountain, because that is the trigger for the final rematch, and then you go back. It's very odd that they limited it like that. I don't really know. It feels like an odd order. I'm sure that I'm going to be like fucking 15 levels ahead of anything that's going on there, if not 20. But as soon as the Elite Four rematches happen, we're going to Stark Mountain. We're doing all of that. The only reason that I let it wait this long is because it is like the thing that triggers the final rematch, and it. Just in terms of logic gates, it kind of made sense to, like, I'm not looking up levels. The only levels that I'm aware of are ones related to the Elite Four. Anything else I don't know about. Have you looked at ways to get the mystery gifts you missed? No, I don't actually know if there are any ways for me to get them, so I am missing out on a couple Pokemon, but that is completely okay, honestly. I'm not too worried about was a Darkrai, and there's like 2 more that are in there. Oh yeah, Giratina. Yep, Giratina is also trained up. Giratina is up there for sure. The entire team is leveled up, I believe, to 85. Oh, Darkrai and Shaman. Yep. But yeah, the everybody is at level 85. Maybe a little bit of overkill. But Cynthia makes me nervous. I probably could have gotten away with leveling everybody up to where my highest level Pokemon at the time was, which I think was 82. But I figured a few more wouldn't hurt. Yeah, right. Like I would rather follow the rules and cheese it slightly by being, a few extra levels above where I might need to be to do it and actually survive it legitimately than be like, well, let's go in with this because I didn't get that otherwise, and yada, and then I'm smoked and I've lost my whole team. That's Insurgents talk. We're not doing that. Speaking of Insurgents, we are going to get back into that. I wasn't expecting us to have so much regular Soul Silver content all at once. The gap in between where I didn't have either was because we had Soul Silver. We had Soul Silver episodes immediately after the first face-off video went up. The slowness of that coming out was because of me just having too much shit going on, so I didn't have time for it in the first place. But as soon as there's another gap in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, we will get back into Insurgents again. People who actually do Nuzlocke for a living are so broke-brained anyways these days. You've already level capped each gem and not using items in battle. And that's the thing is, like, if I wanted to get, like, really serious about it, like, I would practice more and I would, do the rules in those. But, like, especially for the padlocks, it's its own format anyway, and there's all sorts of extra caveats that come with that. And even just for regular Nuzlocks, it's like, I don't know. It's one thing if I was going for a speed run of something and it's like, okay, I have to be really firm about this. I have to really try. I have to add all these challenge things. But it's like, for the most part, I'm just like, man, the regular Nuzlocke is plenty for me, especially for something like Brilliant Diamond, which is like a notoriously hard one to cap off in the first place. This post game is fucking forever. It's amazing just how much post game there has been. The next episode that we do is going to be the 55th episode of Postgame. And that included a 12-hour grinding episode. And realistically, like 12 hours of grinding that I didn't record either for this last batch. People actually do Nuzlocke for a living. No, that's the one before. Your team's best room, Shadow Force, is a weird thing in Gen 6, where if the target had used Minimize, it couldn't miss. In fact, it doubled damage for reasons. Oh, interesting. Huh. Because Minimize has that effect with, like, Stomp and stuff, but at least that makes sense. Shadow Force, that's very odd. Also, a lot of people don't let you get static overworld Pokemon. Yeah, I figured that was the case. I think I'm trying to remember when I did Fire Red way back, if that was one of the rules, was that, like, nope, if you wanted to get, I think that was one of our rules, was that the static Pokemon just counted the same as everything. So if you wanted to get a static Pokemon, you had to avoid encounters all the way until the static Pokemon. Yeah, really only Unova is more media. Yeah, and at the very least Unova has or Unova. I've heard both lately, but that one at least has proper, like, real plot stuff going on in the post game. This has been mostly a lot of it's been rematches, and a bunch of it is also not even a bunch of it. What little of the plot stuff is going on is related to, like, the battle towers and stuff, I have a friend who does Nuzlocke, and he doesn't even take the town captures with, like, fishing and rod stuff because he's overconfident. Yeah, that's one that I could see as being a pretty easy rule to have, and not because you don't need the extra Pokemon, to get through, but more because the town Pokemon are almost universally going to be water Pokemon, and there comes a point where you're just super saturated with water type, Sort of saying that, but apparently wasn't a bug. I would love to know what the rationale is, because my understanding was the stuff that made. Oh, wait a minute. I'm mixing up. The Stomp Minimize one, I don't think was double damage. I think Stomp Minimize was a one-hit KO. Shadow Force doing double is a very interesting one, though. I don't know why. Maybe it's them being cute about the fact that Minimize is a normal type move. So they're like, oh, but Shadow Force is a ghost type move, therefore it doesn't care about Minimize or something. I don't know. Sheer Force Life Orb. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one's an odd one. Shadow Force is Shadow Dive in Japanese. Okay, so it's kind of more like it's just a ghost type fly at that point, like you're diving from another dimension or something. Yeah, Big Smith. That makes sense at least. Because you know what, like not takedown. Oh shit, there's one that or maybe it is takedown. There's one that has like the name for it kind of implies that you're kind of throwing your body slam. Body slam I think also does it. Yeah, I do like the breaking through. They keep that. It's a little bit less impressive in Diamond and Brilliant Diamond, but it is close. They do a bit of that too. Yeah, there's a few moves that have that kind of crushing the crush like minimize crush effect essentially. Stomp is the one that I just remember first, just because it's a simple enough move, but oh, and that's only for the one generation, and that is very weird. I was trying to think too. Gen 6 was it Gen 6 or Gen 7? Yeah, Gen 6. Gen 6. So that's X and Y. I guess did Yveltal have that or something? Oh no, Yveltal was dark, not ghost. Mimikyu was sun and moon. I'm trying to think of any like relevant ghost types in that's Supercell Slam is Thunder Dive in Japanese. All right. Interesting. Huh. Oh, similar to Insurgents coming back, by the way, when there's space for it. Same goes for Super Mystery Dungeon. I have not forgotten about Super Mystery Dungeon. The only reason we haven't been doing it is because Brilliant Diamond has been taking up so many of the weekends, and we are so close to being done with Brilliant Diamond that I wanted to focus on getting that like done. We're very, very close now. I actually have my list here. Yeah, battle towers, which I'm basically gonna do the single and double battle towers either until I get through 7 or I lose, whichever comes first. If I get through 7, then I'll do the master tower for one or both until I lose. But then beyond that, it's Elite 4, Stark Mountain, Elite 4, and then we got 2 last bonus like encounters to go deal with, and then we're done. So we are very close now, but. Gen 6 added the everyone has fun version of Giratina's signature Phantom Force. Maybe that's okay. Maybe that's what the thing is then. Yeah. Oh yeah, because Phantom Force is. Oh, never mind. I was gonna say is Phantom. I'm mixing it up with Shadow Sneak. Very interesting though. But yeah, Brilliant Diamond, I think it's just Shadow Force, but 90 power. Okay. Yeah, which is still pretty decent, all things considered, honestly. But yeah, my expectation, based off of what is left for Brilliant Diamond, is for starters, we're not going to... So we will have some for this weekend, but we're not going to have any for next weekend. Next weekend is not going to have any uploads because of the anniversary stream, but... we will absolutely be done with Brilliant Diamond sometime in May. There is legitimately not really enough. Any of the battle tower stuff is probably going to wind up being either weekends if I don't have something else, or weekday. Beyond that, like odds are some of what I record in the next 24 hours is going to go up during the week next week. And other than that, like even if you just say that, like, okay, one episode for the Elite Four, one episode for the Elite Four, one episode for, which granted the Elite Four will probably be multiple episodes just because of how hard those are going to be. Stark Mountain will say like 2 or 3 episodes, and then the last bit, one episode apiece. We're looking at like, I don't know, between 6 and 10-ish episodes. So I expect that we will be done with Brilliant Diamond in May. Which will be nice. It only took almost 4 years to finish that. That's fun. But it will be another Pokemon game off the list. We will finally have another one exiting the list. And Insurgents will keep moving after that, and we're already in Act 3, so yeah. I am curious how long Super Mystery Dungeon is going to end up being for us, just based off the pace we've been going. Excuse me. I do think that we're going to start having those episodes be a little bit longer. I think I underestimated the length of some of those dungeons, and I don't want us to get into a spot where we constantly have a dungeon that we're already in at the start of the weekend and we're still in it by the time the weekend is over. So we may start doing 20 to 30 minute stuff there. That depends on if you care about post-game there, because there's I mean, I don't know anything about the post-game. I figure as we get close to the end / at the end, maybe I'll look up and see. Normal Game to Credit's not really much longer, shorter than normal Pokemon. Okay. Because like I'd be down for doing story-based stuff, but I don't want to do like completion stuff because I feel like that would take literally forever. But if there's like meaningful story chunks that don't add another 100 hours to it, you know, like I'd be interested in doing some of that. Let's see. Oh, Shadow Generations. We've had the rest of that recorded for weeks now. I've been just bad about getting episodes up because I've been so focused on the anniversary stream. I was going to have an episode of that for today as well. It wouldn't have been an important episode, but I would have just had one up. Huge apologies for how long that's taking to actually wrap up. Part of it too is that it's 4K video. The sequence file for it is getting very large as well. And we had one recording session that had a bunch of weird video glitches that kept disconnecting stuff, and that slowed stuff down for a little while too. But I think we're mostly past that, so it should be pretty smooth sailing from here. But we have like 2 or 3 more weeks worth of Shadow Generations that's just already recorded, and then we'll be out of there at long last. And I'm excited to get into other stuff. I'm excited to get back into other things at long last. It's been a long time coming. It's been a lot of like trying to clear stuff away from the schedule and like have it be done for good, and we're getting there. I think that's actually all that I have right now for real updates. No real news for stuff like Eternal Darkness. We'll get back to that when the hooks are around again. Resident Evil 5, I got to schedule that with CJ. Star Force 3, same as Eternal Darkness. Kingdom Hearts, same as Eternal Darkness. Yeah, I got a bunch of all that going. Oh, Mario RPG, thank you. Yes, I'm planning to record more of that this weekend as well. I was hoping to do some, literally the last 2 weekends in a row, I was hoping to record some, and I just didn't have time. But yes, I am planning to record some more of that this weekend, time permitting. Worst case, I will record some either like later Sunday or sometime on Monday and get that going again, because I do want to continue that quite a bit. It was slightly behind. I guess that's the other thing. Part of what's also been slowing me down in April has been grinding between Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and some stuff with Dragon Quest 3. I've been spending a lot of time doing grinding, which has made other stuff a little bit slower too. So another reason I'll be happy when Brilliant Diamond has come and gone is one less thing to worry about grinding and things for, because we were doing that for Insurgents also, and just like there's just been a lot. I'm looking forward to once we're back into a rhythm where there's less stuff that I have to do between recording sessions, because that's really that's really a big piece of what's been slowing me down lately, to be dead honest. Dragon Quest 3 is going fine. I need to keep an eye on stat numbers as I'm doing things, because I want to make sure that I'm not losing stats. But it's been going okay so far. I have a whole bunch of that left to do. But Dragon Quest 3, I'm expecting we'll be streaming the finale of that on the 5th of May. Unless Persona needs more than one stream, in which case it'll be later than that. Given to play games off camera, it feels weird. Oh boy, it's not a whole lot of playing, unfortunately, which is the problem. It's a lot of just the grinding side, but yeah, no, it'll be nice when there's less of that, because it means that I don't have to like set aside time. Because anytime for like Mario RPG, I'm just like, all right, I want to sit down and do this, but I need to know that I've got 2 or 3 hours that I can set aside for the next batch, because I want to do essentially each chapter I kind of want to do in one big go if I can. But fortunately, I can do those whenever. And I also can just decide that I'm going to take a break too. Like it's not a huge deal there either. But yeah, no, I think that's stream things. What do we have here? So Sundays have been CJ and Felice. I am figuring out intro stuff for Hexen and Hexen 2 with CJ. I've got some good ideas that I wanna try. And we'll see how they go. And if they don't go well, then I guess I'm going to be in the Boston area at the start of May. So it'll be easy enough for me to figure out some time to go and bother them then. Get a couple intros going at a time. We have not lost any of those VODs. They're all safely downloaded. In fact, there's probably the first like dozen or so VODs that are queued up for that already edited and online. I just need the intro to get the first ones up, and then we'll be off to the races with those. We're gonna have so many of them; it's gonna be amazing. And then the goal is to actually stay ahead of it going forward, that is a me problem. It's tricky just because CJ is he is still back over in the more Boston-y area, and we're an hour plus away, so it does make it a little trickier. But I am probably securing a vehicle finally in about a month. So later in the summer, it'll at least be something that I can go and do of my own accord. So it'll be easier. The VOD shuffle a few weeks ago to get them off my... Oh, yeah, actually, isn't that today? I think today might be the deadline for it, right? I did all my stuff for it. So it's all there. But let's see... Just wanted to check this while I'm thinking about it. Oh, never mind. Oh, okay. The deadline's been extended. I was like, it was definitely April before. Yeah, deadline extended. Impacted streamers will now have until May 19th, 2025 to get their highlights and uploads under the 100-hour storage limit before auto-deletion begins. We've improved download speeds, especially for larger files, and expanded bulk selection from 20 to 100 to make it easier to delete your files. Fucking... storage tracker below to see yada yada yada. I try not to get very doom and gloom about platforms and all of that, but this strikes me as an indication that Twitch is maybe not gonna last a huge amount longer. This seems like a massive cost cutting measure, which like from a monetary standpoint, from a financial standpoint, I get it, but they really just like summarily fucked anybody whose presence was based out of Twitch for the past decade. And I have to imagine that a lot of folks are going to be now moving themselves over to, right? I recall that message before the deadline extended was like, this only affects 0.1% of streamers. And it's like, yeah, but you have like millions of streamers. So that's tens of thousands of people. that all have hundreds of hours of video. I had to drop a bunch of stuff from ours. All of our stuff is uploaded, elsewhere, but like that we had about 300 hours, and we weren't even trying to get that. That was from like old marathon streams, and only when I remembered to make a highlight of those to hang on to separate from YouTube. But there are people who have thousands of hours of stuff. They really just completely fucked over the people who made Twitch their main like location online. Now all of the people who are based out of Twitch now have YouTube channels. And like Twitch is still ultimately the better place to stream, but YouTube streaming is still perfectly serviceable. Like it really is not, YouTube really is not so bad with streaming that if it was that or nothing, anybody's choosing nothing. But like if this comes on the heels of a couple other changes on the Twitch side that haven't been great, and like if it gets much further, there might be a point where we just kind of abandon Twitch. I don't know. Twitch does a better job of integrating streaming, especially like multi-streamer stuff. But like, I don't know. The platform has to actually survive, and there were already murmurs about them operating at like a ridiculous loss that they weren't going to be able to like hang on to it. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how things continue. And like we've done YouTube streaming before. It's not like we wouldn't be able to if it came down to that, but it just strikes me as like such a slap in the face to their biggest users. Like, okay, sure, it's 0.1%, but that is your top 0.1%, right? Your top 1 in 1,000 users like are all suddenly having to go get YouTube channels now. You can multi-stream to both YouTube and Twitch, right? Yes. I usually nowadays I do some editing on the VOD so that it's a little bit better presentationally. Back in the day though, yeah, it would have been easy to just like it's just on YouTube and you just tell it, all right, once you're done reprocessing this, just go live. Multi-stream also acts, I think it's an XSplit thing, and I need to switch over to Streamlabs or something, but XSplit also seems to have a weird time with multi-stream. Streaming is fine. The streaming portion is fine. It's the chat protocol that seems to struggle. The multi-chat occasionally just like drops connections. Like it'll just be like, "Oops, sorry, we're not listening to YouTube anymore." And it's like, whoa, wait, hang on. So I would usually have like both of those better, but did normal OBS get a big update? Good, because that was kind of a big thing with OBS versus Streamlabs for a while, where Streamlabs was absolutely not supposed to do what it did in terms of branding with the fork off of the original OBS, and that felt a little bit shady that they did that. OBS Studio, okay. Well, so OBS itself, I think, is Open Broadcaster Studio anyway. So it'll be very funny if they have OBS Studio as its own thing. Oh yeah, I see OBS Studio. What the fuck? Why did they name it that? Or is it Open Broadcasting Software, maybe? Yeah, OBS Studio, also called Open Broadcaster Software, or OBS for short, is a free and open source, yada yada. Yeah, OBS Studio is the original one. Oh, Jesus Christ. On December 16th, 2021, an OBS Studio developer drew attention to an invitation-only release of TikTok Live Studio, which appeared to be based on OBS Studio without acknowledgement and in violation of OBS Studio's license. Man, it's not hard to just acknowledge where it came from. What the fuck, guys? Jesus. But yeah, no, I need to move over to at least an OBS, if not the OBS. because XSplit definitely has some limitations that are sort of a bummer. Um, it'd be nice to use stuff that's a little bit better built for streaming stuff in general. Not that XSplit is terrible, but it's definitely got its weird caveats. I do like that XSplit will auto records while it streams, and it does multi-layered audio too, which is pretty nice. So I don't know. We'll see. Other streaming stuff. Mondays, I've been doing Persona 4 Golden. We are basically right down to the end. I'm hoping to start early enough on Monday that we can just do the entire rest of it in one go, if it seems like a thing that will be possible. Because I have to imagine that there's not more than one, like, chunk that's really left. It feels like we're about to hit whatever last little coda is going to happen here is on the brink of happening. Though it's funny because, like, I don't really know. It doesn't feel like there's any real loose ends left. So I don't know. Yeah, I also was kind of figuring that it was going to be more than one thing for a while, but then, like, right as I was starting to think maybe we'll be done soon, I almost called her Aegis. Rise was like, "Oh, we're almost there," and it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to keep going. Oh, and then we had a huge raid. Holy shit! We got kind of pseudo randomly raided by Bean Dip, a streamer who is about oh my god, like 25 times our size. With a raid of, I think it was 117. So at that point, I was like, well, now I'm definitely sticking through for a while. And it was great. Everybody was really nice. And we had like around 30-ish people that were out of that group that were still there at the end, which was pretty rad. It was a pretty cool time. I went and checked Bean Dip's VOD because I was curious, like, if there was any particular reason. And it sounds like she had a thing that you could I don't know if it was like a lottery style thing or if it was a thing you spent points on, but it was a like choose the raid essentially. And it was oh god, I love mangoes, I believe was the person who chose us. And I don't know if it was random. I don't know that if they are a follower or subscriber of ours, or just they were feeling Persona. I don't know, but yeah, it was super cool. Guide the raid, this thing you do with channel points. Yeah, okay, cool. That's what I thought. Yeah, I need to spend some time. I feel like we barely use any of the actual Twitch features. I just never give myself enough time to like really dig in on those. And also, I just don't even know half the time. It's tricky to plan for stuff when everybody's got such different styles of things to stream, you know? That's true, yes. At the very least, I should fill up the emoji things. We have space for like at least, I think, another half dozen that we haven't used. But yeah, I wanna like dig through there and really learn stuff and all of that, because probably wouldn't hurt, but a chance to max reset before the actual final scenario. It'd be nice. That did cross my mind. If I'm allowed to do anything, like if I'm allowed to have any non-scripted days, then I feel like I would have to be able to have the opportunity to do it at least once there. But I don't know. I know like the next day in game is Valentine's Day, and the mailbox had its little thing that was like, you will not be able to use the mailbox after starting on February 10th. They didn't say you won't be able to use it from February 10th to February like 16th or something. So I suspect that we won't get the chance. It'd be very nice. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm not holding my breath, but I am hopeful, you know? Wednesdays have been Ocarina of Time or Ocarina of Space Time Item and Entrance Multi-World Randomizer with Shad. If you've not been following those streams, we got 4 streams in and then went to go start our 5th stream and realized that our server in Mido's House Multi-World was just missing unexpectedly. So we tried to spin up another server and we tried to jump in and it just didn't connect. Ironically, we were able to confirm this because I found Shad's Zelda's letter, which would have unlocked a whole bunch of stuff for him. So we actually had to start over. This one does seem to be going a lot better than the last one. The first stream, I thought I was BK'd literally 25 minutes in. And I sort of was, except that there were 2 very niche rules that were colliding in a very interesting way. Essentially, the logic is set up in a way where from wherever you spawn in, you should be able to walk direct or get to directly either Kokiri Forest or Kakariko Village with 0 items. There must be a path to get to one of those 2 places without requiring anything. When we started, I spawned in essentially in the Gerudo Fortress. All of the exits led to dead ends except for one. Trying to leave the Gerudo Fortress through the Gerudo Valley entrance brought me to Zora's Domain behind King Zora. So that was a dead end. I couldn't leave the gate because I'm young Link. So that's a dead end. So I had one exit from the Gerudo Fortress. And... Whoops, just dropped something. I'm actually pulling up my map to look at this because I'm trying to remember how this actually wound up working. That ultimately took me to Lon Lon Ranch. All of the exits for which were dead ends, except for one. The exit out to Hyrule Field took me to Zora Fountain, which does not have overworld exits to it. So very quickly, we realized, this might be a problem, because I don't seem to have any actual way to get out. So I was trying to find stuff, and it was like, okay, there may be 1 or 2 really niche ways of doing this, and it kind of occurred to me as maybe we have to get one of my warp songs functional, and then I can warp, because our warps are randomized as well. But so when we went to go start our second stream of the new run, one of Shad's viewers was allowed to take a peek at our spoiler log so that we didn't, and they determined that Shad does not have access to enough things for me to get a warp song just from his own items. So I was like, okay, that's a problem. So the second rule that played into this was my path from Gerudo Fortress to Lon Lon Ranch crossed through a single thieves' hideout location. It turns out that all 6 of the thieves' hideout corridors are stored in the same map. So if you enter a thieves' hideout and you save and reset, you will spawn in at a specific door for the thieves' hideout corridor with a single torch and a carpenter, regardless of which one you were at. So my path from my spawn point to, I think, Kokiri Forest was starting in the Bombchu bowling alley, walking out into the Gerudo Fortress, walking into a different door in Gerudo Fortress to go through the thieves' hideout, saving and resetting, and then walking out of there to Gerudo Valley, where I then jump into the river that then takes me to Kokiri Forest. So it's been a little bit tricksy, but we're back on track, and I've been finding a whole shitload of stuff. Also, that save and reload is considered in logic, is the really important part there. So nothing has been violated technically as far as the logic that it checks. So yeah. But it's moving along quickly. I've got some stuff that I can do when we get back into it for the next one. We're actually going to be streaming that on Tuesday next week, not Wednesday. For a couple of reasons. One being Shad's work schedule, another one being I was going to want to do it early just so that I had Thursday to kind of rest up as much as I could. But Thursday is also now when pre-orders are going to be going live for the Switch 2 in the US. So we don't know if that's going to be like midnight Eastern, if it's going to be earlier, like if it's going to be midnight Japan for some reason or something. Like we don't know exactly when that's going to happen Thursday. So rather than be streaming Wednesday into Thursday, we're just going to stream Tuesday instead. And that's kind of it for streaming stuff for the time being. I know that, when Jeff and Dave are back, I'm sure they'll be getting back into their Tuesdays and Thursdays. Yes, it was announced earlier today that next Thursday, the 24th, is going to be the pre-order date now for at least for the US. I think Canada also. I don't know if Canada is getting an earlier one than that or what, but I think Canada is also getting the 24th. The system and the games have stayed the same price, but all of the accessories appear to have been increased in price by about $5. Yeah, the $449, $499 are the same. Mario Kart World is $79.99 on its own, or $50 flat if you get it in the bundle with the Switch 2. Which, I mean, you're saving $30 off of that. It seems like the obvious choice. Donkey Kong Bonanza, I think, is $70. I think it went $69.99. I do not remember any of the other ones. I think the Pro Controller is $85. I don't remember the other prices. Yeah, I'm gonna see where I'm at with stuff. I would like to get a Pro Controller, but if I can't, then like whatever. The must haves in for me anyway are console with the Mario Kart World bundle, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I would like to get one or both of a Pro Controller and Joy-Cons if I can. I'm sure it's going to come with a pair of Joy-Cons, but I would like to have a second pair just that we have them for multiplayer stuff. And there's a couple like maybes that are in there depending. Like I am interested in Split Fiction. And I was also interested in, what was the other one? I was actually talking about it with someone earlier today. And I was like maybe interested in the camera. I don't know though. GameStop will begin Switch 2 pre-orders in stores when doors open and online at 11 a.m. Eastern on April 24th. Midnight releases held in all stores on June 5th at midnight. Yeah, 12 Eastern. All right. Cool. A little bit jealous of it's funny. So the 11 a.m. pre-order time benefits the East Coast, but the midnight release being at midnight Eastern benefits the West Coast because it means that folks are going to be able to get a hold of theirs at like 9 p.m. Over in California. Alrighty. I also live conveniently close enough to both a Best Buy and a GameStop at this point that I might just do physical pre-orders instead of online ones. I don't know. I guess what I could do is I could try to take a trip out to GameStop first thing in the morning on Thursday, and if there's a line, try to book it back home so that I can order it online instead. I wonder if I could pre-order an in-store pickup for the GameStop one. Be interesting. Can we have the bundle be scalped to hell and back? Oh yeah. There is the guaranteed pre-order thing that's going on May 8th. It's first come first serve, but for the folks that get in, they are guaranteed their chance at it, right? They said that normal USB-C cameras are compatible, so you can go, oh, nice. All right, cool. Maybe that'll be what to go for there. Yeah, I registered both my personal account and the D-pad account for that because I can't remember which one has the NSO like purchase attached to it. Fortunately, we use both of those enough that I'm certain that there is 50 hours on both of those. Um, so that shouldn't be a problem at least. But we'll see. I guess we'll see how stuff goes on Thursday. Alrighty. GameStop will offer a transfer and trade program to seamlessly upgrade to Switch 2 without losing data. More details to come. Huh? Transfer and trade program. Wait, but that's. I assumed that there was going to be a built-in thing similar to how the Wii U did it with the Wii. It's kind of interesting that GameStop is advertising that they're going to have a thing for that, but I don't know. Do your system transfer right there in the store, which is neat. I mean, if it's a high speed, and then you sell your Switch 1 to them. Yeah, I was gonna say if it's high speed enough, that's pretty cool. But I'm not. I probably don't want to sell my Switch. I like hanging on to them. It's honestly, if nothing else, it's nice to have in case we need them for like a project. They let you do the system transfer before they take your old one. Yeah. Ooh. Check something real quick here. Someone else in the panel did just ask a few minutes ago whether they can tell others the panel is happening and was given a sure, but I think I want to still hold off for just a little bit longer, and I will make a big deal about it very soon. Ooh, nice. Excellent. Oh, that's right. I'm so stupid. The thing that doesn't have a date in May is not a podcast. It is a race. So that'll be a fun time. I'll give more details about that when we have a date for that as well. Have a good night, nobody. I'm also actually going to call it here. My throat is like dry as hell. I had a glass of water and it's gone now, but I'm just like, oh boy. But yeah, no. Hopefully you guys had a good night tonight. I am super dry as a cat. That's true, right? I am super sorry that I don't have the formal announcement for the anniversary stream ready in time for this. I was really pushing today to get it done. It's the reason that no other videos went up is I spent all day working on it. So like we're very close. There will be a thing tomorrow. And yeah, hopefully it is something that people aren't just like, what are you fucking thinking? I'm sure there'll be some of that anyway, but I'm excited for it. It'll be interesting. I'm still figuring out some of the ancillary stuff that's going on for it, but that, I can work on that throughout the week in preparation. So, but yeah, next Hangout is back to being a Patreon exclusive thing. I believe it is the $9, or no, it's $10. I think we had moved it back to just the flat numbers again. We had done $9 for a while because of Patreon charges that were changing, and then just wanted moving to the other one. Everyone is grandfathered in on the ones that they had before, but if a tier winds up having zero, if an outdated tier has 0 people left on it, then I'll toss it. But regardless, the next Hangout for $10 patrons is May 30th, last Friday of the month, and yeah, if anybody that is Hangout who is not a patron, or if anybody watching the VOD later would like to become a patron, you can head to patreon.com/dpadfm. And there's got some stuff going on there too. Convince me to subscribe to your Patreon. Hey, awesome! Thank you so much. I'm glad that you had a really good time. I would say that this is pretty well how the Patreon hangouts usually go in terms of vibes. It's by and large a pretty lax or relaxed, more than lax, I guess both, kind of thing there. The least relaxed that it gets is if is when we have a community night and we're running a little bit on the late side in terms of like starting to wrap things up. I'll kind of get through it a little more quickly, but yeah, no, this is kind of our usual thing. Normal amount of tangents, yes, that too. But it helps to not have a time limit on it tonight. Tonight was kind of a little more freeform, which was nice. But yeah, cool. Well, all right, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm probably gonna be getting back to work on stuff. I'm really excited for this trailer to go up and to be able to actually finally talk about this thing that I've had in my head for at least a couple of years now. So we'll see how this goes. And yeah, have a great night, everybody. Have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.